Hello, YouTube. We're back. Welcome, welcome. It's time. Episode 21. We are wasting no time because today I want to try and get 4 shows done this episode and try and stick to that. Maybe 3. Try and do 4. The reason 4 is because I like evening my numbers up, especially when we're doing um, 2 events per month. So we'll try get 4. But give the night off, as always, no one. We are expecting less fans than last time, which is a bit unfortunate. It's not a big jump down, which has only ever happened once or twice before so far. Usually, obviously, there's so much room to grow, so it's usually just going up and up and up. Economy is slowly rising now. We're on a week below average and falling wrestling industry. So hopefully I mean, this isn't bad though. 477 from 480, our highest ever attendance, is is not the worst. But generic venue as always. Booking team meeting. What do we have? Okay, we got some character ideas that I do need to use. I kind of need better ones though. I'm trying to get, of course, Sasquatch and Logan they still have morale issues. Not as bad. It seems if we give them a bit of money, everyone loves money, so chucking a bit of money at them seems to help. But going forward, it's not something I want to have to do all the time. So I need to try and figure out a different game plan. I think we go creative finish because a bit of a gamble on both of them. Oh, a near certainty angle. Right, yes. Spend. Creative. We actually have the max amount stored too with 250. A big gamble, no discard. Let's try again. A near certainty for no restrictions. Good. I wonder if something to do with based on the people in your booking team has an effect on the chances that you get like a near certainty or like a much better or idea, or if it is literally just a complete toss of the dice every single time. Let's go another one. Why not? We'll do one more and then keep the rest a big gamble. Never mind. It's not working out today. Let's just leave it. We're not having much luck with it, so I'm not going to waste any more points. All right, 4 pre-show training drills for 4 of our workers, or 4 students, I should say, for the champ architect. Remy Honeyman came to you backstage with a creative finish idea. Okay. I believe he's done this before. I think it was for a character idea for himself. Or maybe actually it might have been a creative finish. Um, I will say every single time so far someone's came to me with like an idea for themselves, it's always been bad. Every time. So I'll have a look at it and see, but yeah, I don't think I've used one yet, and I've had a good handful of people coming and saying it to me that they have an idea, a creative idea, a character idea, and they're always so ass. It's so bad. The doc and architect are now travel buddies. Okay, that's good. Ellie Star 2 brightened the backstage area simply by being so cheerful. Basically, just being himself. He's a happy chappy. Locker room incidents are done. Address the locker room. We're not doing anything. Just leave it as it is for now. I don't really like doing the team bonding when you have bad morale. Obviously, the more we advance our roster, it's going to be really unlikely. It's like super unrealistic that you don't at least have some morale issues. But I don't really want the morale issues to be down to having to go over. Not right now, anyway, especially. So it's a bit annoying. So we'll avoid team bonding because it's going to just create more problems for those 2 guys and other people in the roster. But it's time. I'm going to get on. We're obviously coming off the back. Architect defended his belt for the first time um, against Logan, of course. Logan's not happy about it. So I need to figure out a way how I'm going to book Logan going forward because he's on a bit of a steamroll, you could say, because of his work at other promotions is making his popularity rise. I also realised most of the guys, if not all of them, um, on my shortlist, they're all worth a lot of money now per show, and I think it's because all of the other independent American companies, you've got Mid Atlantic Wrestling, there's Coastal Zone, there's GSW, Pittsburgh Steel Wrestling. There's a lot. There's probably about 7 or 8. Most of them are all on broadcasters now, and their popularity isn't necessarily going above ours, but it's even on a lot of their, not everyone, but a lot of their guys, the popularity's even across the whole of America, and it's obviously making them much more expensive to sign. So that's something I'm going to have to jump on soon and actually put in 2-year written deals for guys that I want to maybe bring in or want to at least use, even if it's using them sort of loosely, not on every show. I still want to do it before their price surges even more. And I'll need to go back and look at the written deals we did last show, or last episode, sorry, before we go on Wrestle World. But let's get to booking the show. Let's get it done. Okay, here we go. It's time for the show. Kickoff Carnage 44. We're getting close to 50 too, which at the moment is when I would ideally like to end Kickoff Carnage for going on TV. I think sort of debuting the tag team titles on the 50th show, and it also being the first show on Wrestle World but our last Kickoff Carnage show before we go to actual TV shows would be quite a nice finish. That's the kind of the plan, but we'll see if it actually works out that way. But anyway, let's do it. Let's see how much we have in attendance first off. 478, so that I believe is pretty much about the same as last show. I think last show was 480, so it's, yeah, there or thereabouts. And we actually start off the show. Sandman Winks is backstage, and he's actually talking to the boss, who, of course, me, aka Craig Prince. And he basically says, you know, I'm here on behalf of the champ, you know, the boss. He calls him the boss because the architect essentially is his boss in a weird roundabout way. And he wants to know who's next challenger is for his title. You know, he wants to know who it is, what's going on, why are you keeping us in the dark? And the GM, myself, I basically tell him, you know, I'm glad you came, I'm glad you asked, because staying in theme with what Pappas Wolf started as champion, which was bringing more light to PWW and having outsiders come in from time to time and fight for the belt. He said he loved it. He loves the idea. So going forward, we're sticking with it. And believe it or not, you won't need to wait till next month, or to next show, sorry. You won't need to wait till then to find out who Architect's fighting, because Architect's new challenger is here tonight, and he's in action. He's fighting tonight. The Sandman Winks kind of almost looks surprised and goes out. But this was good. I'm surprised we didn't get a notice here about getting the show off to a strong start, because a 45 segment is actually pretty good, especially coming from Sandman. But it turns out it looks like Architect's next title challenger is here from another company. He's here tonight and he's wrestling. So we'll see. We'll see soon who it is. 45 though. Okay, now we move in. And here we have it. Sandman Winks, of course, was just in the promo. He is fighting here with his tag team partner, the Historian, and they're up against Mutant in a new face here, Deadly Deadshot. Deadly, I believe, works with quite a few companies. He's quite over all around America. And he is, in fact, not only challenging Architect next show for his title, but he beats two of Architect's, you know, little right-hand men. When Deadly Deadshot himself got the pin on Historian. The Historian seemed off his game, and Deadly Deadshot debuts with a poor rating, but he's not going to be here for long. As Lucha Assassin, he's sort of very gimmicky, you could say, but he's not really down as sort of it. From what I can see from the notes and whatnot, his gimmick isn't really supposed to be perceived as like a comedy. You know, he's not really taken as a joke. He's a very, very good in-ring worker. And he debuts here with a 49, which is pretty good. Mutant hits a 56, 50 from the Historian, which is actually really good, considering he was off his game. And this match gets the crowd hotter. Wow, he has a lot of boosts on his gimmick too. Very marketable. Large boost to charisma, which I don't believe he's not great on the mic, if I remember correctly. And large boost to star quality. Bit of a shame he got a poor rating then with all those, but a 54 tag match. We're starting off strong. And we have, of course, Architect now knows he has his next challenger for his belt after defeating Logan. Good start to the show though. And this match gets the crowd hotter, which is good. I'm really surprised the Sandman Winks I know I just mentioned it before and I'm blabbing on about it, but I'm really surprised that didn't. That's the first time I've ever noticed our first two segments of the night. Usually the first one gets the show off to like a good start, and then the second one will get the match, the crowd hotter, and then it just sort of, it's a nice snowball effect from there. But yeah, anyway, this was to be expected. A fairly low score. Two of our more green guys. Stevie's actually really good. Something I'm not sure I noticed in the past if I mentioned about Stevie, or maybe at the time I didn't notice, but when we signed him, he had recently been released from SWF, who, if you're unfamiliar, SWF are an American company, but they're one of the biggest in the game. I think they're the second or third biggest company in the whole game world. Um, and Stevie Stanley's actually part of a tag team with a guy named, I believe it's Matty Simmons, but for whatever reason, Stevie got released from SWF and we picked him up, but they kept Matty Simmons. So he actually excels in tag team. He's a tag team specialist too, Stevie, and he's actually not bad. I don't believe if I've shown his attributes. We may have to go over the attributes soon with some of our workers just to we can get a better idea of where we're at right now and the plans we have for them going forward. I think would be quite good, because I want to keep you guys obviously in the loop. I don't want to just do the shows every single episode and nothing else. It's a bit, I don't know, I just personally find it a bit boring. It's nice when you feel, when you're watching the videos, you feel more included on everything that's going on backstage, not just the matches and who wins. But this was always going to be a poor rating, but it's a bit of a shame they don't click and it made for an awkward bout, because that's gave them an even lower rating. Because last match got the crowd hotter and stuff, got it off to a good start. It would have had a knock-on effect on this segment rating if it didn't make for an awkward bout. They probably would have got like a 39, maybe even a 40. But Stevie gets the win with a swan dive senton bomb. I wonder how that looks. Holy smoly. He gets a 39-28 for Zippy. He's very, very green. He's the most green guy I think we've ever brought in. But good win for Stevie. It's good overall for everyone here. Stevie gets a win, helps his momentum, helps him grow. Zippy gets a match, gets more experience under his belt. A 37's not horrible. It's still way above what's required as the minimum. So that's good. Then we move into, it's more of like it's an interview backstage, but it's also more Architect addressing the boss. And he's baffled. We did use an angle idea because we had one. I just used it on this because I knew it would get pretty good if it was a success. And we got a 76, which is huge. The champ, the Architect, who is in action tonight, he's main eventing. It's a very rare occasion we have our title holder in a match that's not for the title, but I'm trying to mix it up. We're trying to change things going forward. And he's basically on the mic ranting about what the hell did he just see. He's hearing from Sandman that he's fighting some sort of cosplay Star Wars figure. What the hell's going on? What the hell what the hell's going on? He's so confused. What in the Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord bullshit is this? He's like, this company is a joke. What the fuck? I didn't work my ass off to be the top guy to defend my belt against some sort of superhero. Which is the angle goes down quite funny. Him ranting over and over about his upcoming opponent, which advances the storyline now, with Deadly Deadshot a part of that. Gets a very good rating. Architect moaning about his superhero opponent, essentially just writing him off straight from the start. He's taking it as some sort of stupid joke. He's not happy about it. As we then move into a 50, very good rating with Marco in this one as well, actually. Miller defeats Marco by pinfall with a forward flip face crusher, pushing up to those 50 ratings, which hopefully we can push Miller a little bit more in terms of his in-ring performance. It would be nice if he was hitting stable 50s. Marco with a 40. 50 rating, I'll take it. Pretty solid. As we then move into Cobra and Jules. Now, I made a tag team. As you know, last show, Cobra and Jules, we figured out had excellent chemistry. So I've made them a tag team, but not officially. They're still classed as individuals. They'll be rated individually. They probably won't team up loads, but it's just going forward, anytime I do team them up, I want them to gain that tag team experience. And I thought, why not put them against probably in ring wise our best tag team in the company? And it gets a huge rating, 64, as expected. Jules Knight pulls in a 49. Cobra's almost hitting 60 with the help of Jules Knight at his side with the excellent chemistry. 62 from LA Star 2 and a 54 from LA Star 1. So those guys, yeah. And it's also the LA Stars who actually win as well. They get the win here. Huge win as well for them when you think about it, because they're on par with Pop, with Jules Knight, but I think Cobra's actually slightly more over than them. So the fact they pull a win in here is really good for the momentum, which I want them to be. I want them to be on a good roll and high on Pop for the tag team titles being introduced. So a 64 is huge. That might be one of our best tag team matches we've done too. So very good stuff. Huge win for LA Stars. As we then move into our co-main event, a three-way. Just like last show where we had 3 vs 3, Papa on one side, Davis on the other, and Davis got one up on Papa, essentially. Even though it's 3 vs 3, the mind games wise, he got one up on him by handing Papa a loss on his first match since losing his belt, and he's actually done it again. Huge rating though, 61. And great wrestling, good heat. Davis Wayne Newton and the Minnesota Awesome defeat Papa Swole on Hot Property when Davis Wayne Newton submits Lachlan Barrett with an STF after blatantly cheating. So again, even though it's 3 vs 3, Papa Swole's essentially got the disadvantage. He's got the new guys, the very green teammates, new to the company. Hot Property, who lost their debut against Jules and Cobra last show, and they've lost again with Papa Swole. And it's essentially Davis cheating to win again. I think they did cheat. He cheated last match against Papa and Papa's teammates. But this is huge actually. This is a really good rating. As expected though, Davis pulls in a 66, 64 for Papa. They carry this. Minnesota Awesome are pulling in mid to low 50s, which is good. Byron and Lachlan are still, they're just developing. That's fine. But 61 is huge. Then we actually have an angle between the two of them. Davis and Papa Swole after the match are in the ring talking. Essentially getting under each other's skins, you know. Davis is basically saying to Papa, what's going on? You're falling off already. The quickest fall off in history. It's got to be studied. And Papa Swole's kind of laughing at him. You know, the only way you're going to ever win against me is cheating. And if it comes to 1v1, you don't stand a chance. Nothing's really set in stone in terms of them going against each other. But it's essentially not the end of this little cute, you could say this little cute back and forth they seem to be having. So we'll see how that advances. Huge rating though, 71. Time for our main event. There's no real stipulations on the main event. I just wanted my title holder in action, so it makes sense to put him in the main event. So I did assign a creative finish. So I'm hoping it doesn't tank, because I think it's a bit of a gamble. But I'm just hoping we can pull in a good main event rating, to be honest, because our segments has done pretty good tonight. 2 are in the green. And there's been a lot of sort of tag action, which has done quite good too. Matches above 60. Holy what? Oh my god, okay. Tied for the best ever match. Our champ Architect gets the win by submission with a blueprint against Remy. Okay, yep, creative finish was a success, which definitely helped here. Architect pulls in a 70. Definitely the best in-ring worker we have, for sure, right now. He's killing it. There was part of me that felt a little bit bad when I took the belt off Papa, because it could have went either way. But I think for the moment, it's probably the best choice too. So Architect pulls in a 72, which is a huge ending to the show. We get a 68, which I actually think this is our best show ever. I'm pretty sure a 68 is... Yeah, 66, I believe, was the highest. 68 might be a new... We're almost into 70, which is wild. But huge... That's, yeah, great start to the episode for our first show. In terms of, we're going to give this to Ellie Star 2. He hit a 60. That was really good. And we'll also give it to, well, we could give it to the likes of Logan or Sasquatch, because they obviously are not great for morale, but we never used them tonight. So I'm going to actually just give it to Architect. Praised on a great performance. And you can be pointed out. No, complimented on a good performance. Seemed pleased. Financially, we almost made 2k. We only paid out 1,600. I, of course, didn't use Roger Montero again, as, of course, we were talking about his travel costs coming from Japan. He is still in the promotion. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. We might use him, but just sort of sporadically, here and there. But I'm not sure, to be honest. I think I might cut my losses with him and just sign someone else. Because I did realise we actually now have more faces than we do heels. So I think getting rid of Roger and replacing him with a heel is what I'm actually going to do. We'll maybe re-sign Roger on like a one more deal or a one more match deal, and then just have him fight maybe on the next show against the new guy coming in. I think is probably the best idea. But the show-wise, for finances, went really good. Popularity we raised to 29, and there's no media scrum. So that's it for now. We're not wasting any time today. We're jumping straight in to our second show of July. Alright, no messing about. It's time. Kickoff Carnage 45. We have Architect in action against Deadly Deadshot, which he was very vocal about. We're going to take a nice bump here too. This is really nice. We're going up by about 50. Yeah, pretty much bang on 50. Which is really nice. Hopefully it comes out about that, which will be good for my ticket sales, because we obviously spent $2,000 on bonuses at the start of this month, so anything to help even that out a little bit. Stored ideas, we have 2 character ideas, which are good. Creative finish is looking good. We are capped out on creative energy, so let's spend some. Another character idea. Likely to succeed and only for Davis. Let's discard it because he really does. I think he's maxed. He doesn't need it at all. Let's go creative. Likely to succeed. Okay. I actually forgot to mention this too, but when Marco Gonzalez was unhappy, the character idea I put on him was near certainty, which I believe is the highest you can get, and it failed, which I thought was funny. This could be applied to angles involving mutant. Near certainty, right, fine. How much points? 120. That's fine. So yeah, there's really no guarantee. Obviously, a near certainty doesn't mean 100%, but to actually see it fail was wild. The percentage of that happening must be so low. Alright, training done. And that is it. Oh my god, that was short and sweet. For back. Do we want to do anything? No, not right now. We'll leave that be as it is, and then we'll get straight in. Of course, we have Daily Deadshot, Architect main event. It's a main event ladder match too, for Architect's Great Lakes Championship belt. Alright, let's go. It's time. No messing around today. We have the debut. Obviously, I mentioned before, Dr. Funkenstein and Zippy I'm going to have in like a tag team. They'll team up every now and then, kind of similar to Hangman and Blue Dragon. Now, creatively or uncreatively, came up with the name Verbal Slam. They both like to run their mouth, albeit most of the time it's not so serious. So Verbal Slam, quote unquote, debut tonight. And they actually get the win, keeping Hot Property on a losing streak since joining the promotion. This actually gets a really good rating. It did get carried a little bit with the Doc hitting a 41. He was the MVP of the match, with his tag team partner Zippy being the weakest link. 32 though, which is pretty good. He's improving, which I like. Doc gets a 41, of course. Byron and Lachlan both get a 36. Match gets the crowd holler. Show off to a strong start. It's a good win for these two guys too. So going forward, this is a good opening to the show, and we do have 540 people, so that'll be huge for our ticket sales. Then we actually have an angle as a verbal abuse, or verbal slam, not verbal abuse. They're giving out verbal abuse though. I can't believe I said that. But anyway, verbal abuse would actually be quite a good name too, instead of verbal slam. Anyway, we're backstage. They come through the curtain, and basically they have a little, it's like a two-part. Basically, we have Cobra cutting a promo, essentially being interviewed. And then the Doc and Zippy both come by, and they're kind of like freaked out, obviously, by his snake. Doc has been all too familiar with that when he was on We Want the Funk, and Cobra threw his snake on the Doc and thought it was funny, so he kind of sees him again and he's kind of laughing to himself like, oh, it's you, you're the guy. Because Cobra, the way he comes across, he's very much in his own little world, like he doesn't necessarily care. You know, he's very cold-blooded. He's not the person to sort of be super invested in what anyone else is doing but himself. And we have a nice little comic relief, you could say, of part 2, where it's basically just hissing Sid, the Cobra, getting Cobra's just teasing them with his snake, and it's getting a good reaction to get these guys over. 51 segment rating 2. The angle also got the crowd hotter, and Cobra improvised well, which is good to know. So this is another very good start to the show. Is what here. It's going pretty well. Moving into a 52. Now I have a little bit of a bone to pick with the game here. So we signed Roger, and after signing him I realised he's based in Japan because he's on tour with one of the Japanese companies, and it said on his profile it expires in like 200-300 days. So I decided I don't need not the stress, but I don't need the worry of keeping him right now. We can maybe bring him back later. So I re-signed him to a 1-match deal, just so I wasn't releasing him and he stayed on good terms with us. And I decided, let me go to my short list and bring in someone who I want in the promotion, who isn't too much money yet. So we signed, lo and behold, Tennessee Williams. Then after negotiating the contract with Roger, randomly his touring deal cancelled, and now he's based back in America. So I did all of this for nothing. But now that we do have Tennessee, and Tennessee I've never used before, but I've always wanted to use him. He's essentially, I mean, you could say he looks very, very similar to someone, but he's a musician. As you can see, his debut gimmick here, he's like a blues singer. Only gets inadequate, but I do like his gimmick. It's something we can work into the angles and stuff too. And I don't think he's not really regarded as like a comedy or an entertainer. He might be an entertainer, I'm not sure. He is decent on the mic, I believe, but he's also good in the ring. And he held the Confederations of the Alliance's title for quite a while, so yeah, he might look like a bit of a sort of corny gimmick, but let's not get it twisted. He is good, and he shows why on his debut, pulling in a 52 and beating Roger. So Roger's gone. So his stay here was very short and sweet. I could bring him back instantly now that he's not based in Japan anymore, but I feel like he's going to go back out and it's going to become a headache of dealing with it. So I'm just going to leave it right now. Will he come back? Maybe. Will he not? Maybe. I really don't know right now. It would have been nice to at least have used him for longer. Oh my god. Well, luckily for us, Tennessee is a heel. It gives a large penalty to psychology during matches. That is horrible. And a small penalty to charisma during matches and angles. Oh my god. He did not get the luck of the draw there. And it only got inadequate, but the match itself did really good. 52, Tennessee wins. Well, we won't comment on it too much more. That's a little bit rough, but yeah, what can you do? Roger's out, Tennessee's in. Simple. Then we move into 48 after Cobra's little shenanigans backstage. He pulls in a fairly straightforward win against Aid Nelson here. Defeats him by submission with the Viper Vice. 48. Cobra gets a 51. Pretty good. Can't really complain with this, to be honest. It's going pretty well so far. Alright, next up we have a very solid backstage interview from the Architect. He's basically questioning everything that's going on right now. He's got no faith at the minute in the GM. You know, last event he saw Star-Lord running around, who he now has to fight tonight. And then he said just before this interview he saw Elvis walk past backstage, who apparently was fighting in the ring. And he's kind of just shaking his head, and you know, he's got no faith in what's going on. He feels like everyone's losing their minds, and he's the only sane one here. Good angle though. 71 solid. Moving into Papa Swole. He finally picks up his first win since losing his belt. He obviously was having a little back and forth with Davis in the 3-versus-3 tag matches that Davis seemed to. I mean, it is obviously 3-versus-3, but with Davis winning, he's holding it over Papa's head a little bit. It's the mental, it's the mind games. Boom shakalaka finish. 59 rated, 54 segment. Fairly straightforward. Getting Papa back on solid momentum, which he didn't really lose much, but then we move into a huge 84. This is really good. It's essentially Papa's leaving the ring, heading up the ramp. He's won, he's done, and as he's doing so, Davis's music hits because he's up next, and we have this sort of tense moment where they both eyeball each other walking past. You know, Davis isn't even giving Papa the respect of waiting until he's backstage. His music just hits, he comes straight out and heads down the ramp. A bit more of a development I've tried to do on there, on this segment for the characters. I've never really used character development before. I need to go over the handbook and read all the different things and see exactly what they're rated on, because I would not have expected this to get anywhere near an 84. So I feel like maybe I'm doing something. Well, I know I'm doing something wrong when it comes to the segments in terms of getting the highest rating I possibly can out of them, but I need to actually figure out what. But 84 is huge. Good segments this show. The match itself also does even better than Papa's, pulling in a 63, and it's Davis Wayne picking up the win over Miller Ford in 13 minutes. He gets a 64. So this is another solid one. As we're moving into the title fight, let's see if it can outmatch the 63 with a creative finish. Please don't fail. Alright, 67. Not bad. Exceptional match. Architect beats Deadly Deadshot in a ladder match when he retrieved the item. Making defense number 2. He gets a 66. 45 for Deadly, which I believe is worse than his debut match earlier in the month. But you know what? 67 I'll take. He's beaten, as he calls him, Star-Lord, which is pretty funny, even though he's not meant for that. But storyline advances. Our best show of the night is on the main event, which is good, because you never quite know sometimes when all my big hitters are on the show, like Davis and Papa as well. You never quite know how the ratings are going to work out, but 67 overall show rating. 2 segments in the green, 540 people. It could not really have gone any better, if I'm being honest. Who could this go to? I'm trying to think who could. We'll give it to Doc. He did really good on the first match, and we'll also give it to. I'm trying to think who could use it. No one really needs it per se, but it would be good just to use them. We'll give it to Zippy. Why not? These guys don't necessarily need it, but it might help. We make 3,000, which is huge too. Very good. We actually did not use a lot on workers at all. But this is, yeah, let's see about Pop. We stay at 29 as expected. But yeah, this has gone really good this show. Can't really complain. We're going to quickly advance ahead and just very, very, very quickly before we go into the next show, we'll go over the finances. Okay, it looks like we're sitting cushy. Obviously, I mentioned before, at the minute, I don't care how much money we have in the bank. We're in the green. That's all that matters. But we took a nice jump up after the last 2 months, sitting around 4,500 profit, more or less. We've took a real nice jump up here. Ticket sales have flown through the roof. Sponsors 300 up. Merchandise is about 400 up. We also, of course, this would have been. It's weird to think 2,000 of this was to bonuses and perks, but we only would have paid out 3,200 to workers, which would be the first. Well, I guess on me it was quite low. That probably helped with the fact we didn't use Sasquatch or Logan, maybe, or maybe there was no real travel costs, I guess. But we could have potentially, if we didn't pay out that $2,000 in bonus, this could have been 7,500, which is roughly where we need to be. A little higher, but it's like really on par. It's coming together well, because the plan is to stop. Of course, it's to stop the kickoff carnage shows at show 50, which is 4 more shows to go. Introduce the tag team titles, get on Wrestle World. So if our profits keep going up even by 1,500 every month until then, we'll be on steady course to make it happen and not take a loss. So this is good. This is really good. Alright, it's showtime. Let's hope and pray the attendance is still looking pretty good. Let's have a look. So we're expected about the same as last show. So no huge jump up, but we're still pretty solid sitting there. Hopefully maybe by next show it'll take another bump when our pop goes up a little bit more. Because it always goes up on the first show of the month. I'm starting to realise it's becoming a bit of a theme. We go up in pop the first show, then it's on the second show it takes a jump. Okay, we're maxed on stored energy, so we should use some. Bit of a gamble, likely to succeed. I think maybe a better creative finish might be wise. Character ideas we don't need. Let's get let's get an angle as well. A near certainty, no restrictions. Okay, that was easy. Can we get the same for creative? A bit of a gamble. Let's try one more and then we'll stop. Likely to succeed, right? Okay, that's fine. We gotta just bite the bullet if it fails. Luckily, more times than often, our creative finishes do succeed. So we gotta count our blessings while we can, honestly. Hammer Hadley has turned up and asked if he might be able to use him. I've actually looked at this guy before. He's got 7 years experience, but he's only recently started popping up in my hidden gem list. He's actually not horrible. The only thing he only really lacks is the selling, but I feel like out of the 4 fundamentals, your basic selling, consistency and safety, selling seems to be the most common among workers to be the lowest. He's got like okay charisma and menace. He's got 72 psychology, 70 brawling. Like, he isn't bad. Maybe we actually will use him. It says here he may have more of a career in Japan than his native North America. He is based here. He's literally in the Great Lakes. He does have some pop in Japan. I wonder if that's through. Yeah, he's been on tours. He was on ALF, which is another American promotion. It seems like he walked out. I wonder why. Personal relationship change, and then he walked out. Maybe it's something to do with that. But we'll bring him in, see how he does. You never know. He doesn't 6 pop in the Great Lakes, so he's probably going to lose. Yeah, why not? You know what? Why not? He must be better as a heel. He does have a prickly personality, though. He is a dynamo, which means he never holds back during matches. He has an explosive ring style. The worker's extremely explosive in-ring style means that they get a bonus when allowed to dominate a match, but a penalty in bouts that are slowly built, go over 10 minutes, or are aimed at working or calming the crowd. Well, that's a huge issue. If he gets a penalty matches over 10 minutes, that's like all of our matches almost. What a horrible, horrible attribute that is to have. For what we do, anyway. That'll explain why I haven't booked, why I've never signed him, and I obviously just forgot about it until now. Right, okay, well, sorry man, you're not coming in. Do we sign him? You know what I'm going to? I'm going to sign him and put him in a match over 10 minutes and just see. It's obviously it's going to be hard to judge when he has like 6 or 9 popularity. Like he's going to get a horrible rating anyway. But I'm just curious to see how big of a issue the penalty is. I also wonder if you could like somehow talk to a worker and get them to like remove certain attributes. I know when it comes to like alcohol and if they're addicted to drugs and stuff, you can call them out or talk to them personally and they can change it. But there's probably a lot more stuff you can do with that I've never done it before. I've never messed with it. Clark gave the locker room a lift. Spot on impressions, very good. Apparently Stevie Stanley and Blue Dragon have bonded recently. Okay. David Swain and Ellie Star 2 have apparently been hanging out together. Okay, that's good. The backstage rumor has been in overdrive after Ellie Star 1 and Mutant apparently got into a heated argument. That's not good, bro. You don't want to get into an argument with the Mutant. The guy's like 6'7", 300 pounds. Yeah, maybe don't do that. And it's 360 pounds of muscle. Yeah, maybe you should chill out. How tall are you actually? 5'10"? Yeah, I think you might lose that fight maybe. He's irrepressible, which is like one of the best to get. But I'm feeling like it might have been Mutant is unpredictable, which both have good morale though. This is nothing really to worry about. Zippy has been getting ribbed a little because of how much he started being influenced by the architect, even taking on some of his mannerisms. I wonder if that's to do with the fact architect trains him, like gives him little like training sessions before each show. Probably not, but that was a lot of incidents considering we had almost none last time. Mostly positive, to be honest. Address the locker room. We are. Let me actually see these. Discreetly meddle with the relationship. Nah, we don't need to do that. Wait. Or obviously call it workers, which we famously did way back at the very beginning to Mutant. We're basically calling him out for being fat and having low stamina, thinking it would help, and I totally done it the wrong way. And he hated me for like a year. Oh yeah, there it is for the addictions. That'd be horrible though, doing that to someone, I feel like, in a public manner rather than private. We can pull a rib. No, let's not do anything. We don't really need to. We could inspire, but I'm saving that for Kickoff Carnage 50, which is right around the corner now, to be honest. But yeah, let's go. It's showtime. Alright, segments are done. Show's booked. We actually have Deadshot Deadly again. I thought I booked him for 2 shows, but I booked him for 1 month. And this is on the tail end of it, so he's in action again, up against former champ this time, Pappas Wool, after going up against Architect for the belt last show. He's kind of getting passed around like a spliff a little bit, but it'll give us some good ratings, good rub off. It gives us a chance to get Pappas Wool back in action. Anyway, let's go. We start off with a match tonight rather than an angle. It's becoming more of a custom. And it does the job, gets the crowd hotter and gets the show off to a strong start. We Sasquatch is essentially not back. He didn't really go anywhere, but we just haven't used him in a couple shows at least. And he comes back with a 46, which might be one of his highest ratings, which is good to see. He dominates this match in under 8 minutes against just one of the local workers who we've used quite a few times now. Pretty straightforward one. There's no real point in us even looking at this. I actually got a great rating. His fiery babyface gimmick. I can't say I've ever seen a fiery babyface before, or this sort of title anyway. In front of 533 people, so we're actually a little lower. I think last show was 540. Still a lot of tickets though. I won't complain. But this does the job. Win for Sasquatch. Show starts strong as we then move into another big segment with the Architect, the champ. And he's essentially backstage, going into the GM's office, complaining about how he had to defend his belt last month against, like some sort of guy who thought he was a superhero, some mentally challenged guy. What the hell's going on? And then now he's heard Elvis is in the promotion. Like, come on, Craig. Rather than calling him boss, my own character, he's like, come on, what's going on? Please tell me you're not absolutely losing your mind. Who's next? Essentially, who's next in line? Because Architect, he likes to know everything. And the GM kind of smiles at him, and he says, don't worry, your next opponent who'll be challenging for your belt is someone you're very familiar with. It's Davis Wayne Newton, the man who Architect beat. If you guys might remember, maybe not if you just skimmed through the episodes, but the Architect and Davis Wayne Newton went back and forth a fair bit in the first year of the promotion until the Architect eventually took the belt off Davis after 8 defences from Davis Wayne Newton, which still to this day is the most defences ever from a Great Lakes champion. And now he's got the former champ to go up against, which is he won't be happy with, but this gets huge. 7-8. Couldn't really have been any better, honestly. Then we move into Hammer Hadley. Right, so he seemed off his game. We purposely made this just over 10 minutes. I decided I would give Tennessee the boost. We need to get his pop-up. He pulls in a 49. He's an MMA badass. Look at all those penalties. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's to do with comedy. Losing to comedy gimmicks. We actually have some comedy workers, but I don't think anyone has a comedy gimmick. Which I'll need to maybe double check that, because I think quite a lot of my gimmicks, not a lot of them, but some of them have this too, from our original roster. Let me have a quick peek at this. Yeah, so he gets penalised for poor use of his explosive ring style. I really wish it told you more info here, how much the penalty exactly is. But yeah, he doesn't do great. A 25, I mean, I've not seen a 25 rating in a long time. But Tennessee pulls the match up to a 42, which honestly, I'll take it under these circumstances. Another win for Tennessee. And then we finally used Mutant's mutant angle idea that he came to me with, and it paid off. My god. This is essentially his intro into his match, which again I put on character development. And I think it was Davis and Papa Swole passing each other in the ramp last show. I think I put that on character development. And it got a really good rating. And again, of course, this has an idea attached to it, which was a success. But I really need to look. I know I said it last time, but I really need to look in to exactly what they're being rated on. I wouldn't even know what character development would be. Does it maybe have, maybe how highly their gimmicks rated would have an effect, which would make sense because Mutant is legendary. He's one of the few guys who has a legendary gimmick. It might not be that, but that if that was part of it, it would make sense. 7-8 is on par as well with the first segment of the show, so that's really good. It doesn't have a huge boost from what I know, from what I've seen checking it, but it does have a boost on their popularity too, so this is good, especially because the match itself, Mutant picks up the win, carried the match in terms of in-ring performance. He carries Aid and Marco to a 46 after pinning Aid Nelson with the Tina Turner to get good momentum. Well, he's already on good momentum, but to keep the train rolling essentially for Mutant, a 59. Marco and Aid We need to try to get these numbers up a little bit. But yeah, good match. We're not quite hitting the 50s yet with our matches, not really. Hopefully that comes in soon. The segments are definitely carrying the show so far, but good win for Mutant. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Much better. The Minnesota Awesome actually defeat Cobra and Jules in this one when Perry Longstaff pinned Cobra with a double flying elbow. So the Minnesota Awesome showing what they're all about. They pick up a win against Cobra and Jules, who have been doing very, very good since teaming together, putting on some pretty good performances. Cobra pulls in a 58 as well, 50 for Jules. This is a really good match. We're quite lucky since starting our tag division that we have guys like the Minnesota Awesome, you know, LA Stars, even Cobra and Jules, you could say. They're capable of pulling in pretty solid ratings that match the singles, or a lot of the singles anyway, which is really good. 59 solid. Also huge win for Minnesota. I'm trying to obviously build up our tag teams for introducing the belts, which is really, really soon. Then we have another huge segment, our third and final segment. We brought back We Want the Funk show, hosted by Doctor with his sidekick Zippy now, since they're obviously their best friends. And it's with the number one contender Davis. There's a lot of red here, but we still pull in a 74. Part one of the segment is essentially just the Doc hyping up the crowd. You know, he's hosting the show, and then he interviews Davis with Zippy on the sideline, essentially, with some comedy. They all pretty much, they underperformed, which isn't something I see often. I don't know if there can be multiple reasons to underperform. The Doc did a masterful job improvising, but Davis also did not do well without a script, which sometimes that happens with him, sometimes it doesn't. The angle ID that I used also was a success though, which probably made it quite a bit higher than it should have been. But 74, you know what, I'll take it. We had 3 segments this show, 70 rated plus, so that's the first time ever, I think. Oh god, I shouldn't have said that because it probably isn't. Zippy also improvised well, even though he underperformed. But solid, to be honest. Then we move into, of course, now it should be Deadshot's last match in the promotion, which pulls in a 63. Papa Swole gets a 65, and of course gets the win with a boom shakalaka. Deadly Deadshot is getting better at his gimmick, but it means absolutely nothing because he's leaving. Will we see him back? Maybe. Probably not. You never know though. 63 rating as we go into our main event, featuring our champ and his next opponent for his title, Davis Wayne Newton. 64. Okay, this is good. So we had Architect teaming up with his Blueprint members going up against the LA Stars, who of course have had a bit of back and forth with Sandman and the Historian, and they're teaming up with Davis. This is, if you really think deep to it, this is odd, like an odd mix-up, because we have 3 heels against 1 heel and 2 faces. But you know me, guys, the way we're doing our product, the heels and faces are mainly just there for gimmicks. You know, everyone has a gimmick and they're scored on it, and they stick to their gimmick. But as for having them face against each other or teaming up, it's obviously not common, but we don't care. So don't let it ruin the immersion or whatever. But this goes pretty good. Storyline advances. Creative finish was a success. The ratings are all pretty good here too. 66 from Davis, 70 from Architect. And then even the Historian and Sandman did pretty good. They were like on par almost with the LA Stars, who are by far, in ring wise, our best tag team. But they were really just right there. So I can't really complain. A 64 is pretty decent. I think the Papa Swole match got a 64, or was it 62? But this should be pretty solid. Solid show. The segments carried us through as well. 63, 64. So the main event does get the man of the match, you could say. 65 overall rating in front of 533 people. we should get a show increase as well. I can't really complain with this. We're actually going to give this to... We'll give it to Marco and Aid, who both lost. They don't necessarily need it, but they're the two people that instantly came to my mind. So they can just have it. Finance-wise, we made 2,500. Paying out just under 2,000 to the workers. So no complaints there. Popularity, we go up to 30, which hopefully means we get a little bit of a boost for our second show in August, where it'll be a big one. We have Davis going up against Architect for the belt. That'll be huge. Okay, good stuff. So let's we're not messing around here. I don't want the episode to go on too long, so we're going to just head straight in to the last show in August and the last show of the episode. Alright, here we go. Nope, give the night off. No one. Ooh, yeah, so there we go. It seems to be whenever the pop jumps up, that's when the attendance does. And considering we're jumping by about 50, 60, 70 people with every single point, that's let's hope it long may it rain, let's put it that way. So huge numbers again tonight. We're maxed out. Let's try get a better creative finish, I think. I also off camera used our character ideas on some people, and I used one on Aiden Nelson, but it failed annoyingly, so he's a little bit annoyed right now, which is annoying. Oh, a near certainty, but can only be used in matches where Sasquatch is set to be the victor. I mean, sure, I'll keep it, but it's not really useful. Okay, near certainty, perfect. I'm going to get another character idea, why not? Big gamble, no thanks. 110. Let's try one more. Likely to succeed. Fine, okay. Okay, yeah, that's enough. Davis gave the locker room a lift when a spot on impressions, nice. Architect did drills for basics and safety with 4 students. And that's us, short and sweet today. We will do nothing again. It's time to book the show. We got Davis and Architect in action. And it's actually a submission match too. Both are known for their technical ability. So I think it's maybe only the second time I've ever done a submission match. I think way back in our first year we maybe did it once, maybe. But anyway, it should be big. Should be a big match. Those two are two of our best guys. Hopefully we can potentially bring in our highest rated match ever in front of over 600 people. So let's book this bad boy. Alright, it's time. We're ready to rumble. And also, right as the show is about to begin, it's announced starting next show, so next episode, the tournament to crown our first ever tag team titles will begin. It's going to be an 8-man tournament, basically just win to advance. And it's going to, of course, finish the finale of the tournament with the winner being crowned the first ever tag team champs. Will be on Kickoff Carnage 50. There'll be tag teams from our promotion. There'll be outside tag teams coming in. You know, the GM's basically announced, he's gave out the word, gave out the call to make it a very competitive tournament, because it's obviously a huge deal. We're crowning not only a new champ, but of course it's going to be the first ever champs. It's a new title being introduced on our last ever Kickoff Carnage show that we'll do, which will also be the debut of a Wrestle World, or more so using a broadcaster, also on Kickoff Carnage 50, before we move on to actually having a TV show. So pretty huge things. Is we also start off pretty huge with the 2 main eventers tonight. The champ is in the ring with Davis Wayne Newton. This is more just to advance the storyline. 71 segment, lots of green here, show off to a good start, gets the crowd hotter, Architect does a masterful job of improvising, and the performance of Architect was good, which is really good to know. That's really positive when it's complimenting your guys like that. Davis Wayne did not do well without a script, which he's similar to Mutant. I'm realizing Davis. He's a bit inconsistent when it comes to working without a script. Sometimes he's fine, sometimes he's not. It happens, I guess. It's just something I should maybe take more consideration on, but we still get a huge rating, huge start to the show in front of 616 people too. The first match we have is actually a qualifying match to get into the tournament, and it's the Minnesota Awesome. They take the win over Verbal Slam when Perry pins Zippy Deverell with a double flying elbow, essentially confirming to what we know anyway, the first tag team to enter the 8-man tag tournament, and it's Minnesota Awesome. Pretty solid ratings for them as well. This match also gets the crowd hotter, 52 rating, 55 for Clark, and 50 for Perry. Pretty good stuff. So that's 1 of 8 of the tag teams we know. With the next week, of course, next show will be the quarterfinals, essentially the first round, but it's the quarterfinals, obviously, with only eight teams. Moving on, the big man is back, Sasquatch McGraw. In action again. This is 2 shows in a row now. He's teaming up with his fellow buddies from the Blueprint to take on a rather, on paper, it's a rather bit of a mismatch, but it was more just put together as a filler. And it keeps the Blueprint momentum going strong, and we get a chance to use that McGraw creative finish, which turns out to be a success. So pretty good match. Looking at the scores here, it pretty much goes as expected. Sandman with a mid 50, which is really good. McGraw hits a 44, Historian 49, and then sort of mid 30s for the others, which is actually quite good. That's not too bad considering. For Byron and Lachlan, they're slowly going up. I actually want to check Sasquatch if he gets penalised for consistency, because it seems to be... Oh no, poor gimmick and low morale. I don't know why he's getting penalised for physical condition. Is that not when they start to decline? Their physical condition declines? Josh Jacobs actually got it too. Because most of my guys don't really have an issue with their physical condition in terms of, like, their bodies are usually pretty healthy every time I look. But we get a 46 here, pretty decent rating. And then just like Minnesota Awesome, we get the announcement on promo that the Past Masters are essentially announcing themselves in the tag team tournament. This comes across, this is good here. The historian apparently clearly enjoyed having the freedom to go off script, so character development must put them on the mic then. Historian is not good, or not knowing for being on the mic anyway. This might be the first promo where he's actually ever spoken, and it's a complete accident, and he done well without a script. 56 rating. So we have the Past Masters as team number 2 announced for the tournament, and they're essentially hyping themselves up. You know, I'm pretty sure they're Sam Keith Classic tournament winners too, which is to do with the tag team. So they're essentially putting themselves as the favourites. You know, we're going to win. Essentially, we're going to win that tag team tournament, easy peasy. And we all know they'll lie, cheat, and steal as members of the Blueprint. They'll do anything to win, especially if Architect is at the wheel, which we all know, if it means anything for him and for his Blueprint faction, he's going to do everything he can to make sure these 2 guys get over the line and get those belts. Pretty decent singles match. Good momentum as well for Milliford to keep the ball rolling for him. He seemed off his game, but still pulled in a 51, 54 segment rating up against Jules. He takes the win in 10 minutes with a Ford flip face crusher. Not much more really to mention or go over here. Good win for Miller in very solid singles rating. Then we have Tennessee Williams. He does have some pop here. Obviously, he's still very new and unbeaten. And this is essentially his entrance to the ring. Maybe he's singing like a song, or doing his thing. He's very sort of a very charismatic guy, very good on the mic. Pulls in a 58 rating, which, you know what, I'll take it. He improvised well throughout. The match itself gets a 54, also pretty solid against Remy. Tennessee takes the win. Slightly cheats here. After using a foreign object, he gets the pin over Remy in a very open match. But great wrestling, decent reaction, good win for Tennessee. No complaints. Another singles match. This is actually our co-main event. Mutant and Cobra up against each other with no Papa Swollen action tonight. So the fact we get a 60 is actually huge. I'll take it, to be honest. And to keep the red hot momentum going for him, Mutant gets the win over Cobra with a Tina Turner. Pulls in a 55, 51 for Cobra as well, which is really good. Alright, it's time. Main event. Hopefully our creative finish done well. It's of course Davis. It's been so long. It's actually been so long since he's fought for the belt. He's kind of always been put on the back burner, but he's back. He's back on the forefront. Giving Architect, on paper, arguably his biggest test yet at his second reign as champion in a submission match. We get a 75, definitely our best ever match. By just a couple of ratings, but still, creative finish was a success. And in this exceptional match, the Architect beats Davis Wayne Newton and by submission with the blueprint after interference from Sasquatch, who we haven't obviously seen by Architect side for a little bit, but he's obviously very much still in the frame. Architect makes defense number 3. Pretty much the way this is going down, it's very, very close and can go either way. This match, these two are very well matched. And it's essentially Sasquatch who makes the difference at the closing ends of the match, coming in to just tip Architect over the edge and get that submission. Both of these guys' finishers are obviously submission moves too, so it's a very, very, very good matchup in that sense. But Davis essentially gets he gets shafted here. He gets drawn out, and any possible chance for win is gone because of the numbers game. Defense number 3 is done for Architect here. Huge match. 769. I don't know. That could actually be our best show ever. I think. But huge though. This is a huge end to the episode, to be honest, with our best match, and I think it's actually our best show. Architect's really pulling the numbers in, to be honest. We'll actually give this to, let's do Tennessee, and we'll also give it to let's do Zippy, why not? Both seemed pleased. Financial report, we made almost 5,000 in ticket sales, so that's huge. Overall profits just under 4,000. Wow. I'm not going to go over the finances this episode, because obviously with our tag team tournament coming up, I don't want to, not that it's like a huge deal, but I just don't really want to ruin the people who are coming in, and you might obviously see it. So we'll just, we'll not go over that, but we're sitting on 30. Things are looking good. We're making lots of money. We now have everything in place. The tag team tournament will start next show and end on Kickoff Carnage 50, where we debut Wrestle World. We essentially stop Kickoff Carnage, and then going forward from that, we will move on to our TV show. So it's all looking up. It's exciting times, and we'll be able to, next episode, we can crown our first ever tag team champs. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you guys for a very, very, very big episode next time around. So peace out.